Waited a long time for this.
What the hell?
What the hell?
Test.
Ah, Sally.
Hey!
Damn it, who is that guy?
Man!
Sally.
He's a Robin Hood of the hood.
No, how about Barack Obama? Because that's the one I can't figure out. George H.W. Bush was head of the CIA, right? So it's like all of it locks into place, certainly in our lifetime, certainly in modern history.
Right.
Except for Barack Obama. So how does that get done? My guess, and I can't wait to hear the true answer, which I'm sure you have, my guess would be that they blackmailed him, honestly. I mean, based on the guy's creepy history. But what do I know? How'd they do it? How did they usurp Barack Obama? Because Barack Obama would be like the guy who wanted hope and change and wanted the system, presumably, to not run anymore. Abu Ghraib, like all the scandals that were surrounding the Iraq War, forever war, Barack Obama presumably would be the antithesis of this system. And you're telling me that not only is he part of the system, he's probably running it at this point. So how the hell did that happen?
Well, there's so many CIA connections around Obama, it can sort of make your head spin. So, I mean, starting with his immediate family, you know, his mother was working directly for USAID in Indonesia at the time that the CIA and State Department were effectively operating this massive military operation in Indonesia. And USAID is a CIA front. USAID exists there's no aid in USAID. Okay. Even the name will fool you. USAID doesn't mean United States Aid. It means the Agency for International Development. But I mean, starting right with his family. I mean, so not only is she working for USAID in the exact CIA conflict zone that was one of the marquee CIA conflict zones of the area, while the USAID was acting as this CIA front, but her money, so she was also funded by the Ford Foundation in the 1970s. And the Ford Foundation was busted in the 1970s in the Church Committee hearings as being one of the premier CIA pass-throughs for laundering money. So, you know, when you give someone CIA money, you know, it doesn't come with a wire transfer through the SWIFT account saying, "Hi, this is from the Central Intelligence Agency." It goes through webs of nonprofits and 501c3s, and then it goes from there to pass-throughs, and then it goes on to the intended targets through any number of plausible, deniable, you know, links that are set up. But they were sloppy about this in the 1960s and 70s, and the CIA was giving it directly to the Ford Foundation. The Ford Foundation was then giving it to the webs of effectively media mercenaries, academic mercenaries. Obama's mother was doing the sociological research on all of the different ethnographic groups in Indonesia at the time that we were fomenting the war and working to sort of balkanize and create these power dynamics among these groups. And she was getting her money from not just the Ford Foundation today, the Ford Foundation in the heat of it being exposed as one of the CIA's top fronts. And then, you know, you've got his whole extended family, and then you get to the you get the Obama-Pakistan situation and the strange event that happened, I believe in something like 2011, where no less than John Brennan, we'll come back to him in the Ryan Routh story, by the way, but John Brennan's private firm was busted hacking into the State Department database and altering Obama's passport information. Now, and they said many passports were altered, so, you know, the official story is that his was not, you know, targeted in particular. But the fact is John Brennan was then promoted by Obama himself to be the Central Intelligence Agency director. There's a big gap in Obama's resume during his, I believe, sophomore year in college, which, by the way, is a common time for people to be recruited by the agency. If they're going to do a career in the agency, often they're poached out of college, where he spent this mystery year in Pakistan. He had 3 Pakistani college roommates. Now, the whole Pakistan situation is a CIA one. I mean, Pakistan was our zone for running our Afghanistan operation with the Mujahideen in the 1970s.
That's insane. I just have to ask a follow-up on Barack Obama, because that's wild. So your contention is that Barack Obama was born of the CIA?
I don't know. What I know is his family. It's rare to see so many constellation points all in one direction, with there being nothing there. Then you have the early life until college. Then you have college. Then you have all the community which I mentioned with the Pakistan situation. Then you have his life as a community organizer. Now, community organizing is bread and butter of what intelligence work is. Intelligence work, especially when it has to do with political destabilization, is about working with all the different aggrieved elements in a region, in a country, in a community, in order to organize them politically against the existing government. In fact, many, many times, Saul Alinsky, was a big Obama mentor also, with Hillary Clinton. Many of these groups that Saul Alinsky was working with directly ended up being involved in CIA work. For example, the various Indian tribes that he was involved in organizing ended up being sent down to Latin America or in South America in order to back channel and work with the unions there at the time that the CIA was trying to restabilize our control over those countries. And this is stock and trade. And then Obama was fast tracked on the foreign policy side in the Senate when he was flying out to Ukraine and doing these back channel statecraft operations in Ukraine. The fact is you can't, from cradle to middle age, I can't really name a year where Obama was not swimming around the world of international statecraft with a intelligence underside. Now, that doesn't mean that he was, but there's a lot of smoke coming out of the House. And, things like the John Brennan hacking story are extremely strange, because John Brennan, and this gets to the Ryan Routh situation, John Brennan has been involved in so many of these dirty tricks that ended up having calamitous collateral damage on the collective soul of this country.
Why would they need to change Obama's passport?
Well, if there's information around what he was doing in Pakistan at the time, if there were special markings made on it, for example, there are diplomatic passports. Those are different. Those are an entirely different category. If there was a different life that he was leading from an early age, and there was something in his file which noted that he may have had a civilian passport. And again, this is speculation. I'm not asserting this is fact. Yeah. But this is one of these things that I think, because there were other issues around Obama that were, kind of red meat, I think, for conservatives around. I've never even looked into the birth certificate thing. I don't care about it. I have no idea. There are questions about, what his college grades were. And all. There are all these questions that just, I think, journalists felt like they didn't really have access to in a standard way you would with president. But then when this happened with the passport scandal with John Brennan, the case died when the main whistleblower, who discovered the hack, who was working with congressional investigators and was set to testify, mysteriously was discovered slumped in his car, dead, before the testimony. So, it was like a gangland style shooting of the person who did the digital forensics on the hack. And John Brennan's firm actually, I believe, even apologized for the hack. I don't think I don't think there's any dispute about that. I think it was just that the whistleblower, had the, all the reporting and the digital forensics type thing. And then you see something like that and it scares you off the trail. Who wants to pursue that story when the guy who was taking the lead of it, ends up, dead shortly before his testimony under mystery conditions where he's just found dead in his car. But, so the Obama situation is one, and even what he's doing right now with the Obama Foundation It's the same capacity building operation. He's got this fellowship program where they're grooming emerging leaders from around the world, from South America and North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa and East Asia and Central Asia and in all these different industrial fields. And there are now sort of Obama fellows who are getting plugged into the statecraft operations, basically creating little vassal states for the the insular industries and regions, and then hooking them up to that State Department complex. And we saw him doing the ambassadorship for censorship work when in his April 2022 disinformation speech, which was one of those harbingers for what you should do if you want to remain in good standing in the Democrat Party, because now President Obama has ordained that the First Amendment is out of date and the government needs to help censor disinformation. But my central focus here is not to get to the bottom of what really were the forces behind Obama in that case, but to say that these are networks, and oftentimes they operate informally. In fact, that is the whole purpose of the CIA plausible deniability doctrine, is that you have informal. You're not getting a W-2 from the agency. You're not necessarily even having a national security clearance. You are operating in this purgatory zone where you are not quite a civilian, but you are not technically intelligence. This is, for example, what NDI is, the National Endowment for Democracy, Hunter Biden's, NGO that happened to have been drafted by into existence by the Central Intelligence Agency director to say that we're going to use this to do what the CIA used to do, but it won't have CIA fingerprints on it. That's not technically CIA, but it is. It is a link in the CIA's operational plan, very deliberately so. Everyone that you are liaising with, consensus building with, back channeling with, has intelligence as part of the platter of food items in the room. And so it could very well be something like that, but that's the same thing. And that's what I'm trying to impart to people, that the way this dirty work is organized is much blurrier, broader, and frankly ordinary course than you would expect.